So back in the 2000s, I discovered this really weird video about this purple mulleted superhero guy that was basically singing and dancing in a park full of kids and a doo-wop group and a rapper and this guy that was feverishly violining. It lasted about 3 minutes, but it's remained with me for a decade. Finally, after an amount of time, I just had to know what this video was. I remember it being called Rem Lazar. That's all I remembered it being known as. But I finally got curious enough to see what the hell was up with this movie. As it turns out, the full title of the movie is called Creating Rem Lezar, and it was made in 1989, and to the best of my knowledge, it's only on VHS. The movie is 45 minutes of pure weird. That's the best way I can describe it, although, what the hell. I'll try to describe it here anyway. So it stars these two kids, Zack and Ashley. Zack has some serious anger issues. He's lashing out at teachers, he's lashing out at his principal, he's just lashing out at classmates. And then there's Ashley, who is plagued by dream nightmares of Rem Lazar. But the gist of it is, apparently adults hate children having imagination, because I'm surprised they didn't cart the kids away to a psychiatric ward. Both these kids are simultaneously dreaming of Rem Lazar, this purple-haired super guy that apparently they both independently created via their own imagination, but brings them together. And it's kind of funny too, because initially when Ashley realizes that Zack is also having these Rem Lazar fantasies, she goes up to talk to him about it, and he's a complete dick to her. There's no better way to put it. He's just completely hostile. And then like 3 or 4 minutes later, after they realize, oh, you know of Rem Lazar, they're singing about how they're the best friends of all time. Here's where the movie gets weird. As if there was ever actually a point where it was normal. But they go off and they steal this mannequin. They have a mannequin storage waiting for this moment. I don't know. But they go and they get all these costumes and capes and wigs and everything, and they make this giant full-size adult Rem Lazar dummy that they basically hang out with. A thunderstorm forces the kids to take cover in the shed where they created Rem Lazar, and when they wake up, Rem Lazar is alive and hanging out with the kids in his lap. It's a little messed up. I'm sure it was probably intended to be innocent at the time, but it just doesn't age very well. Now that Rem Lazar is alive, apparently they forgot to include his chest emblem, which is like this weird infinite logo called the Quixotic Medallion. Apparently he can't live without this thing, so they set off to go find it. Along the way, they find this disembodied head-face thing called Vorok, who tells them Rem Lazar will die at sunset if they don't find the Quixotic Medallion at the heights of their imagination. They never explain who Vorok is. He's just like this guy that magically appears, but he goes and tells them off, and apparently he's super mean and hates Rem Lazar and hates some things that, he just doesn't like, and it's really weird. But anyway, I think it's kind of morbid that their new imaginary friend that they've basically dedicated their entire life to is going to die at sunset. They make that pretty clear. So the first place they look at the height of imagination? The World Trade Center in New York. Remember, this is 1989. Everything was fine back then, but watching it on video, it's a little creepy. Vorok tells them that this is not the right place, so they decide to walk through Central Park. This is the scene that, if anyone's ever watched the internet or ever looked up Rem Lazar, this is the scene you've probably found. They start off and they find this weird 1950s era looking doo-wop group that's singing We Have It All, and they're all just like hanging out and having a great time. And then all of a sudden, they all start walking together. And it immediately segues into this one guy who's like rapping and popping and locking in the park. And they build up like this whole posse like Space Channel 5. They're all going together in unison and jiving. And as they go along, they find this violin guy with like this Prince Valiant Bell looking haircut, and he's furiously violining away on his violin. Ashley goes over there with his spare violin, because why not? And she starts violining with him. I gotta admit, the Rem Lazar theme is insanely catchy. It's been in my head for a couple weeks since I actually watched this whole thing. It actually reminds me of the Torgo theme from Manos Hands of Fate because of its repetitive nature. After the park scene, everybody's gone. You never hear from them again. I have no idea what happened to them. But they decide that the height of imagination is the mountains. Alright, fair enough. So Rem Lazar splits into two at this point, and he goes off with Zack in one direction, Ashley in the other direction, and it seems like the only thing that happens during this whole adventure is that Zack and Ashley realize that they need to be together and they never should have split up in the first place. All the while, the clock's ticking on Rem Lazar. He's going to die any minute now. So Vorlok, for whatever reason, lures Zack into a lake and Rem Lazar has to go fish him out. And for some reason, they decide that the best way to defeat Vorlok is to be nice to him and to be his friend. So, I mean, he's been taunting and messing with him this whole time. He hasn't really done anything outside of the lake incident, but they decide that they're going to kill him with kindness. So, they do. And Vorlok is so touched that somebody actually wants to be his friend and not afraid of him. He's like, okay, so great, yay, evil is vanquished. The quixotic medallion that Vorlok's been holding out on this whole time, clearly they can, he can tell them how to get to it. So they ask him, nope, can't help you, and he disappears. He disappears. So, what you're dealing with is they did nothing to help Rem Lazar. There is no quixotic medallion, and Rem Lazar essentially dies. Haha, kids film! At this point, Zack and Ashley are so traumatized that they have to go home to their respective parents who, I don't know, I don't speak for their relationships with their family, but one of the police officers conveniently looks like Rem Lazar and takes him home, and apparently they all will have bedroom sing-alongs after the lights go down. The end! That's Rem Lazar. I've been watching a lot of weird movies lately, and this is one that, again, I've heard of, I've seen segments of, I've never watched it in entirety. I felt confused during the entire thing. I get that they were probably trying to do a whole thing, yay imagination, yay the power of friendship, yay knowing who your true friends are, and all this other stuff. But it's so weird, and they never stop singing, and I don't know why they're hanging out with this purple mulleted cape guy, and he doesn't seem to accomplish anything. They spend this whole day running out in New York in the wilderness, and I don't even know if all this connects. And at the end of the day, their imaginary friend dies. So what does that symbolize exactly? That imagination is dead as you get older and realize to find your place in the world, that's what's got to happen? That's a comforting thought. I don't even know how to feel about this film at the end of the day. I'm certainly glad that I saw what the whole thing was in its entirety, and it's only 45 minutes long, but it's also kind of a slog to get through. So would I recommend Creating Rem Lezar? If you absolutely have to know what else lies beyond that viral video that's been on the internet for over a decade, by all means go for it. Outside of that, I don't think you're going to find the personal level of satisfaction past that, other than being a completionist. Nothing connects, nothing gets resolved, and you're left with that. Creating Rem Lezar has been out of print probably since it came out. It was probably a one-off VHS tape, and that was it. So it's going to be hard to find, although if you're persistent, you can find it online. Well, that's Creating Rem Lezar. It's a film I've seen. That's my recommendation for it. It's a film I've seen. If you think you're ready to handle the weird full-on, be my guest, and certainly drop me a comment and let me know what you thought of it. I'm sure there's something deeper, but after that initial run-through, I'm not sure I want to go through that one again. Although, I gotta admit, I do like that little song though. Do 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 do.